I guess, are we live? There we go. Let's see. Let me make sure it's bumped on the. I think I bumped
we're
it on the
live.
board. Yeah, we're live. I'm going to make sure we're bumped on the board. Hank Brown just said all the reports of me entering the transfer portal are not true. I have not entered the portal
Yet.
He didn't say yet. He said War Damn Eagle. Well, okay. Who was that? Was that Hayes?
Yeah. No. Not for Hank. Where did you see that?
He posted on his IG.
If you're joining us live, we are actively working as we start this live. So we do apologize, but we also don't apologize.
Who reported Hank? That's Nakos and Steve Wilfong reported that one.
So he put that.
Well,
okay. Well, we'll see. Who else reported? Did everybody report?
No, Hank, they're the only ones. Nobody, I didn't see anybody else go with,
Interesting. Okay.
Let's see. What did he say? He said he hasn't entered yet. What's his words? He goes,
hang on.
Are not reports of me entering the portal. Well, no, you're not in the portal yet. Technically, I have not entered the portal.
Yeah, let's see. Of me entering the transfer portal or not sure. I have not entered the portal. Love y'all. Okay. Well, that's not the report. The report was he plans to, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Let's see what it was.
Bear with us, guys. Bear with us.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to. Where is the story? There we go. Plans to enter. Yeah.
Nice report, Cole. I love Twitter so much.
Initially reported Brown's intention to.
Twitter's a great place. So awesome.
Well, Wilfong and Pete are generally
pretty good.
Pretty accurate. But we'll see. I mean, generally they're not going to run with something like that.
Yeah.
Had not informed Auburn. Yeah, I mean, I think here's what I think is probably happening. If I had to guess, Wilfong and Pete are pretty good about this.
Pete
if I had to guess,
Pete just replied to you on Pete Nakos just replied on Twitter. He said he can't until December 9th.
Yeah, so my guess would be that they are. You understand, for Wilfong and Pete, they're talking to agents. They're not talking to Hank. Now, sometimes they talk to the players, but they're talking to agents, sometimes parents. So what my guess is that they got the go ahead that he's going to enter to report, and Hank probably has not had conversations with Auburn yet to say, hey, here's what I've decided. That's my guess. And so you get Hank coming out and going, these aren't true, because he wants the opportunity to probably have discussions with Hugh Freeze. Now, it's possible that there could be a mix. It's possible that the agent could have said, yeah, he's entering, and that Hank somehow this morning or something happened today where Hank decided maybe I want to have a conversation with Hugh first just to make sure, and he could go have a conversation with Hugh Freeze and he could change his mind. He can't enter the portal till December 9th.
Right.
So it's that's entirely possible. But that's my guess, is that generally those guys are going something. It's agents saying that that's what's going to happen. And so my guess is Hank is saying that because he wants to have conversations with you. Either one, to just have the conversation to do it the right way, or to tell him face to face, or maybe to give him one last chance to sort of see how that meeting goes before he goes. I think Hank, honestly, it would be probably smart for him to enter, because Auburn's going to get a portal quarterback. I said on the board 2 months ago that it's possible they could get two, depending on if Hank left. Like if Hank left, we knew Holden was going to leave. He's going to graduate and leave. If Hank left, absolutely the door's open to go get two. They might have even gone to get two anyway and let Hank just decide, hey, we've got two. You can stick around and go through spring if you want to and figure it out. You got Deuce Knight coming in, which doesn't necessarily impact Hank next year. I don't think Deuce is the guy next year. So I think Hank's thought is, who am I going to be competing with? The portal and Walker White. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's not a terrible idea for Hank to. It didn't shock me, I guess, because if you go through spring and you don't win it, then what, right? You're kind of behind the 8 ball.
This is why we call it silly season. We have the sale going on right now for that, of course.
Yeah.
Off to a great start. Love it. Love it. Well, Justin, are we going to talk some football here? Is the season?
Yeah, we can do that. Sorry, that was just kind of interesting. And honestly, Pete's reply to that tells me a lot. It was a very confident. It was a very confident. Well, yeah, he can't enter the portal till December 9th. Almost like a technicality.
Mm-hmm. Right. Get ready for the comments today, Justin. Get your. You better be ready. It's gonna be fun. So we're trying to, as you can see here, we're trying to get everything sorted out with getting the portal started. Obviously, the portal does not open until December 9th, which is next Monday. Not this Monday, but next. Signing day is December 4th. We're in the middle of it. We're trying to get all that straight. But, I mean, with the football game, I don't even know where to start with it. So many opinions out there about how things went this season. I'm wanting to do like a big roundup of the season and just where I think everything stands going into the off season before the third year of Hugh Freeze. I don't know. What do you think, Justin?
What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the game a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
I would say, I mean, honestly, look, I think I'll just go off what I thought. I thought it was going to be 27-21. That was my prediction. And I don't think I was very far off. I mean, if Auburn doesn't mess around and screw up some scoring opportunities, they get to 21,
Right.
or maybe a little bit more. I think probably what surprised me a little bit was Alabama and how easily they seemed to move the football. I mean, they had 28 points and 450 something yards of offense, and that's with 4 turnovers. I mean, if Jalen Milroe holds onto the ball and doesn't fumble twice, they also had an interception, and then what was their 4th fumble? Oh, Ryan Williams fumble. Yep. But I mean, if they just hold on to the ball a few more times, I mean, they score. So that surprised me a little bit. I thought Auburn's defense was playing well enough to not allow basically 30 points and 450 yards of offense while also forcing 4 turnovers.
Yeah.
I would think if you told me that Auburn forces four turnovers, I'm thinking Auburn might win. I'm thinking Auburn may win the game, not be down 28-6. So that surprised me a little bit. Offensively, same old. I mean, they moved the ball. They created some plays. They did some good things. And then in the moments that matter, whether it's a third downs, I think they were 3 of 12 or something, 4 of 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it was third downs or scoring chances, they didn't execute. Like, that's literally the story of the season for the offense. So the offense kind of was about what I thought. Maybe even moved the ball a tad better than I thought at times, but it's about what I thought. Defense probably surprised me a little bit. I mean, the trick play was insane. The trick play was crazy. Man. That's I mean, I don't love. I say I don't love second guessing. I know we do some of that, but there's certain types of second guessing. Where you're like, if the play works, what do we say, right? What a call. But the timing of that play, the timing of that call was crazy.
It's interesting that he would take that risk, and I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but kick the field goal before halftime and not go for it, right? It's the timing of some of these risks is weird. Is my biggest thing, and I've argued with a couple people on the corner, not argue, but discussed this. A couple people on the corner who think it was okay to call that at that time, or don't think it's too much to ask of Jarquez Hunter to make that decision, because you heard in the post game, Hugh Freeze said, well, he's got the option to dump it back to Thorne on a screen. Well, that wasn't there either. So
yeah, absolutely not there. If you'd have done that, that would have been a pick.
No, but I mean, you think about what you're asking. Now, I can hear my guy Tecmo right now on the board. That's not asking a senior running back too much. Well, I just would disagree. I think you shouldn't do that to your running back. I think you shouldn't put him in that position. He should have taken off with it. That's what he should have done. That would have been the best thing. You eat it, basically, and move on to the next play. But you're asking your running back to decide between throwing it deep or throwing a screen or taking off. He's got 3 options there. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't understand. I can't really wrap my mind around it. People at Auburn would probably say, man, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. That's fine. I just can't wrap my mind around it. It seems to lack common sense as far as I can see it, especially with, you're in scoring range to go put it within one possession. I don't know. Was that the time for that?
No,
it doesn't seem like it.
And you had just scored to make it 28-14. Like you found life with the touchdown to Cam Coleman, and then you got the turnover, right? So you had some momentum, and you're in Alabama territory. Your goal right there needs to be, what does it take to get this in the end zone and get it to, because when you get it to one score, everything changes. Alabama's like, oh my gosh, what happened to our 28-6 lead? Maybe they tighten up. Your team gets confidence. Your only goal is, what does it take to execute this and get this in the end zone? Running a trick play right there reeks of desperation. And if you listen to Hugh Freeze's answer on that, yes, he said that Jarquez basically should have looked and thrown back to Peyton. That's what Hugh Freeze said. He said there was a deep safety. He should have thrown it back to Peyton. Well, we know that wasn't there if you look at the film. Freeze said they should have,
which, by the way, I think we all have to remember this. You're getting full transparency, right, from Freeze all the time. He has not watched the film yet at that point.
Well, then don't say you should have thrown it back to Peyton.
Well, he's gonna. He's gonna say
open.
Whatever's on his mind, he's gonna say it.
I know, but that's why people read that and go, that's where people get a little bit of, are you taking accountability, or are you blaming Jarquez? You're saying Jarquez should have thrown it back to the quarterback that wasn't open, but you're saying it. Besides that, though, very risky play at that point of the game. Didn't make a lot of sense. Auburn had done some decent things moving the ball. And that was such a risky, not just the timing of the play, but honestly, when he said Jarquez should have thrown it back, That was a whole nother layer that shocked me because now not only are you taking the risk of calling a double pass when you just got momentum, you're coming off a touchdown drive. You should not be desperate right now. Like you can't move the football. You've shown you actually could move the ball at times. But then the play you call is a play in which you're asking Jarquez Hunter now, a running back, to catch the ball on a double pass, turn his head downfield, look to see if there's a safety, and then if there's a deep safety, he's now supposed to turn back and throw it back to Peyton Thorne. So it's not just a double pass. It's a throw to Jarquez Hunter, and then you're asking your running back to basically read the defense. And if there's a deep safety there, now I better turn around and throw back to Peyton. So it's not just the play that's risky. There's even layers of that play that go beyond that are risky. To me, it's Jarquez, throw it, or if it's not there, run it. I don't know why you would ask him to throw it back to Peyton. So you're asking Jarquez to read the defense and then make a decision. So much of that was bonkers. And then he tries to throw a ball 40 yards. Like it wasn't even just like a double pass where, to me, that's one where you try to throw a 20-yard pass. Try to slip somebody out and get 20 yards. Jarquez is trying to throw that ball 40 yards downfield. Your running back. I don't know. Everything about that was crazy to me, but it's not why Auburn lost. It was a big point in the game. It could have gotten you to one score.
Yeah, it's just a momentum. It was a momentum killer. You have to listen. You got to have trick plays. You got to have times when you take risks. Okay, nobody here is saying you shouldn't do that at all. All right, two things can be true at once. That can happen, where we can criticize the call in the moment, and also say, yeah, there needs to be times to take risks. So, in the moment, what was the situation? The situation was, you have a chance to go make this a one-score game. You're moving the ball really well. You're in scoring range. And then you're going to go with a trick play. Now, I could even point to when Alabama screwed themselves. Okay. Alabama was doing whatever they wanted with Auburn's defense, especially in the passing game. And then they run a reverse to Ryan Williams that loses 6 to 7 yards. I'm going, dude, why did y'all do that? That was silly. All you had to do was continue to do what you were doing. But instead, you got to get tricky. Everybody's got to get tricky. You got to overthink it a little bit. So Alabama and Auburn both had points in the game where they did this, and they were way too tricky. Alabama overcame it. Their offense is better, okay? And we knew that going in. We knew their offense was – I don't care what happened at Oklahoma, right? That does not matter. They have the capability to go off at any time. And you knew – one thing that Alabama has always known and done well against Auburn, we're fixing to test your secondary, because they believe they have better skilled players than Auburn secondary. They did it. Auburn secondary is young. They've been good. Jay Crawford was in and out, I think. So that didn't help. And that was I felt like that was the big story of the game. Alabama challenged Auburn secondary, and they win.
Yeah, there are definitely some things, I don't know, I guess the way Alabama used their tight ends, I don't know if Auburn was prepared for that. That probably surprised me a little bit. I mean, it wasn't Ryan Williams that beat him. It was the tight ends. It was Jeremy Bernard. It was some of those guys that made some plays. Ryan Williams made a few plays too, but it was some of the other guys that made plays. I thought Auburn did a pretty good job in the run game, just the straight run game. I thought they did okay. And then the other thing is just Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe is a phenomenal athlete. And if you get good Jalen Milroe, you're going to have a hard time beating them. If Alabama somehow got in the playoff and you got good Jalen Milroe, good luck. I mean, you can beat them, but they're totally different when that guy's pretty throwing the ball well and pretty accurate, which he was against Auburn, throwing the ball well.
He did. He had a good game as a passer. He really did.
He did. And then you toss in the run if you can't contain it. You saw what happened in LSU. I mean, LSU's not a bad football team. It's an 8-win team, and Alabama destroyed them because Jalen Milroe just did whatever he wanted, and that's the version Auburn got. I mean, they couldn't contain him. They let him escape a few times running, on some passes, and then of course just some design runs they let him get out to. So that probably surprised me a little bit. That's the offense. You have to contain him, and Auburn didn't really even come close, right? I mean, he ran up the middle, he ran around the end. I mean, we all saw what happened to DeMarcus Riddick, which is incredibly unfortunate when you come out there and say that he's not going to get around you, and like right off the bat, he gets around literally you. But yeah, so maybe that surprised me a little bit. I mean, Milroe's awesome, but I thought Auburn would sell out to do it to sort of slow him down, and couldn't do it. And so,
well, they couldn't because they were killing him in the passing game. They had to keep 2 safeties over. Then you're getting into a situation where they're doing these quarterback runs, and now they've got an extra blocker with the running back, which is one extra blocker in the box than what you have, because you have 2 safeties back because they're throwing it all over you. That's where Hugh Freeze is trying to get with his offense. He has not made it there yet. Now, I will say Alabama kept 2 safeties over the top a lot. They were worried a little bit about Keandre Lambert-Smith and Cam Coleman. That's a big step forward. But, hey, if you can't run the ball against the box they were giving you, you don't deserve to win. And that's exactly what happened. I think there could have been more attempts to run the football. I would say, hindsight's 20/20, but you definitely – I think they could have stayed with the run game a little bit longer. The biggest problem with this Auburn team under Hugh Freeze, at least since I've seen it, right, if they go down by 2 scores, they're in trouble. There's no climbing back. Like, they had a chance to do that. They screwed it up. But climbing back is almost insurmountable for that team. Maybe things change when you get a new quarterback. Maybe things change when you get some more weapons in there. I don't know. All I'm saying is, since I've been watching it, they can't overcome those scores. They don't do well with that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, they have the ability to create big plays. So, like on one hand, you would say, okay, 14 points that they could come back, but I think there's a level of to come back from a double digit scores, 2 scores or whatever, to make that happen. There has to be a level of maturity with your team, a level of consistency. Things that they haven't shown. There just has to be a level of those things that they haven't shown to be able to march back from down, and they couldn't do it. I thought when they made it 28-14, there was a little bit of life. And I was like, okay, they might actually creep back into this. And then that double pass, and I thought that just kind of ruined everything. And it hurt the momentum. I was a little surprised by the defense coming out of halftime too. 14-6. Alabama had done some good things on offense. I get you, but the defense came out and just got shredded coming out of halftime in the third quarter of that game and into the early parts of the fourth quarter. To the point where I even posted on Twitter, I thought the body language was bad on Auburn's defense. I mean, I was watching bad body language. That surprised me. If it's 28-6 and there's 6 minutes left, I could maybe see some bad, but right out of halftime, I was surprised at how easily Alabama scored 2 touchdowns to go up 28-6. And some of the body language, the missed tackles on those 2 drives were pathetic. That was not what Auburn. It's not the kind of Auburn defense Auburn had been playing recently. And so that surprised me. And then when Auburn scored that touchdown to make it 24-4, it kind of reset things a little bit. I think the defense kind of got a little bit more life, like, okay, we're not out of this. But it sure felt like when they scored and went up 21-6 and then 28, defense was just not fully engaged. Tackling was really bad. But I don't know. I mean, Alabama was an 11.5-point favorite. They won by 14. Both teams had mistakes. I mean, you could say the thing, Alabama had 4 turnovers. Well, Auburn missed a field goal and went for it on downs and didn't get it. And it's like both teams screwed up opportunities. So all in all, I guess it was probably about the game you thought it would happen. You mentioned something about kind of odd play calls. So you have Freeze, they miss a field goal. Then next time they get down there, he goes for it. So you're thinking, okay, does he go for it? Is he going for it because he doesn't trust the kicker? Or is he going for it because he thinks he needs touchdowns? They don't get it. Then the next time down, what do? Then they go back and they kick a field goal. So then I was like, well, wait a minute. So I guess that was confusing to me. I'd be curious to know his answer on did you not trust your kicker? Then you went back to trusting your kicker, or did you think at that point we need a touchdown? And if you thought that, then why didn't you just go for it on fourth down every time when you're at the one? Why didn't you go for the touchdown? It kind of felt like it went back and forth to kicking a field goal, to going for it, to going back to your field goal kicker, and then going back to your field goal kicker right there before halftime and trying to get points, which I just thought was a bad call. I know that you want to get points before halftime, but you knew the way Alabama was moving the ball, they were going to score more. You knew you needed touchdowns on the board. I think 14-3 at that point, you had to go, even if they just stuffed you 2 or 3 times. I thought that needed to be 4 down territory. You knew you were going to need to get to 28, 30 points. Kicking a field goal to get to 6, it doesn't feel like a total loss, I guess, because you walk away with points, but it kind of is because you have first and goal at the 2. And so it was kind of felt like back and forth between go for it, don't go for it. I don't know. I didn't like some of the back and forth. And he said on that 3rd and 1, I think he went tempo on 3rd and 1 and tried to punch it in down there.
Yeah.
He said there was a 3rd and 1 tempo that he messed up on. He goes, I shouldn't have done that. Like they tried to hurry up and see if they could catch Bama off guard, and they ran tempo and it got stuffed or whatever.
He's unsure. It's very obvious. I'm not really making excuses for him. I was very indifferent about that decision to kick the field goal.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Even today, after thinking about it more, I don't know. It did get it within 8. So then, if you score, go for 2, get it, you're tied. So I understand that. Maybe we could go back and look at the play calling before then, see what happened, see what issues there were, why you couldn't get in the end zone that time. The other times, that's questionable too. I'm not sure what the answer is there, but unsure, man. It's just so unsure. Everything about the whole offensive operation was unsure. I think there was a lot of things being called that, whether it be Peyton Thorne, whether it be the offensive line and pass protection, the running back, somebody was usually unsure of something when they would call these things, right? When they put in these new packages every week, these new plays to try to counter what the defense is doing, it's good. A lot of times it's schemed open. There's ways for it to work, but the guys, no matter who it was, somebody was unsure of it. And look, as a coach, man, and I've talked to somebody that knows what they're talking about on this. This is not just my opinion. I've weighted my opinion through several others, but you don't call something that any of your personnel is unsure of. I don't understand that at all. I mean, I've told y'all before, I've watched coaches that I worked with. I've watched my dad, who was an offensive play caller for years. He'd carry a Sharpie around and say, that's it. They didn't know how to do that. It's good for this game, but I don't care. That's coming off. We're taking that off today. Hey, we run it one time and it didn't work at practice. Shoot. Nope. Not going to see that one. So it's like, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around running something just because you think it might work, but you've seen it at practice go. And I don't know, maybe they did it perfect at practice. That's what we don't know. That's the part we don't know. It's just speculation at that point. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that they look so unsure all the time. That's what has everybody very uneasy as we move forward with this regime. And fair enough. I can't really argue with that. I'm of the stance where I think everybody gets 3 years. If you don't give them 3 years, then was it even worth trying? It's kind of like, why are you even going to play the game if you think Auburn's going to lose? Just go ahead and put whatever score you think it's going to be on the scoreboard. Don't even line up. Don't get on the bus. I think it's the same way here. You give the guy 3 years. You got to do it. There's several examples all over college football where guys got 3 years. They were trying to force Billy Napier out, right? Things are looking up there. They're trying to get Shane Beamer out of there. Things are looking up there. Okay, that might be a playoff team. I'm not saying that's going to be the case at Auburn. I sure would like to find out. So that's where I stand on that. But it's there is real legitimacy in feeling uneasy about things right now. I wouldn't say anything to anybody who feels that way.
Yeah. No. And I get why. I think I've been trying to figure out why this fall has felt like I don't know. The toxic's not. I don't know if that's the best word, but it feels like the vitriol and just sort of the uneasiness, I guess, of the fan base has been higher than I can ever remember it. And maybe social media plays a part in that. Maybe everybody feeds off each other. Maybe in the days where you either didn't have social media or you just had a message board. Now you got a message board and you got Twitter and you got there's so many different voices and things. I think people get worked up and maybe that just raises the level of everything. But it just felt like the uneasiness and the angst and the frustration has been at an all-time high this fall. And then I guess there's a lot of reasons for that about people thinking they were going to be better this year and it didn't work out. But I think definitely some of it goes to the bipolar nature of this program right now, which is you look at recruiting and you're going, okay, they just had the number 8 high school class and they're currently at number 5. They could climb from number 5. They could improve on that before it's all said and done. So you're going, how is that operation going well? And then I look over here on the field and I see this disjointed, mess with inconsistencies and execution problems. And I think there's trying to marry those two things up is very confusing, I think, for fans, where they want to be excited about recruiting, but they're looking at what happens on the field and going, well, I can't be excited about that. That's actually really discouraging. But then I'm looking over here at recruiting and going, that's really encouraging. I know the Gene Chizik years was similar. I mean, look, that staff came in and recruited like gangbusters. I'd have to go back and pull it up, but I mean, 2011, 2010, phenomenal recruiting classes. There's a reason that Gus Malzahn came in and was able to do what he did because that team had talent. I mean, that team had good football players. It was just a mess behind the scenes from an organizational standpoint, a culture standpoint. It was a mess. But that staff recruited really well. So I guess we've seen it before with phenomenal recruiting efforts and really poor on the field efforts. But I don't know, man. We just turned the page past the Iron Bowl. I think everybody, when that game ended, I think everybody was just ready to be done. I mean, they wanted to talk about the game a little bit, but past that, it was just like, okay, we're done with that. Now let's talk about the portal. Let's talk about what we need in recruiting. I mean, it was just very quick they don't really even want to dissect the Iron Bowl too much. It's just on to portal. And of course you got news about Holden Geriner and Hank Brown. And by the way, just for people that are watching, I mean, I think that Wilfong and Nakos are sticking to what they reported, by the way. So,
right, which is, by the way, for those wondering why we have a story up, the story, if you actually open it, says, according to Steve Wilfong and Pete Nakos. They reported it. They're sticking with it. So that's what we're going with here. And it does not say that Hank Brown is in the portal. It says that he plans to enter the portal. That was their report.
And that's what my tweet said. He plans to enter the portal. People just can't read.
No, it's all good. It's confusing time of year. I get it. Maybe we are. Maybe we will be wrong. Maybe he won't.
Well, no, we just Wilfong and Nakos are really good at what they do. We reported that they reported. That's what we do. If we don't have it, we trust them and we report what they report, and that's all that is. But I think as of right now, they're not. They have no reason to go back. It's like what I said earlier. I think it's maybe wanted to announce on their own terms kind of thing. Maybe wanted to have a conversation with Hugh Freeze. If I had to guess, if I had to take a wild guess, I would say Hugh Freeze is playing golf right now. And so, probably want to talk to him or whatever. And so that's probably what I think is is going on at the moment. So anyway,
there are reports out there of Michael Riley. We're trying to figure that one out as we're on this live show, so bear with us.
yeah. Some of these I wrote in the portal tracker, like some of these are just not going to be surprising. I mean, really, a lot of the guys that are going to enter the portal, you're going to go, it kind of makes sense. Michael Riley, yeah, it kind of makes sense. I mean, you do lose a bunch of seniors, but if you're Micah, you're like, I put 2 years in. I need to get a ball thrown my way. And like, I don't know.
I was kind of watching for him last year, if we're being honest. I mean, look, we're not going to just speculate, but there are names we watch. Trust me, and they're the same names that you're watching probably. If you pay attention to the way things are going, guys that are, behind others. Maybe you think they need to be playing. Maybe they think they need to be playing. Those are the ones we're looking at. Maybe a guy that was highly ranked coming out of high school and he hadn't made a big impact yet. Watching for those. There's no secrets as far as that goes. So that's what we're watching for. And there's going to be more. My saying, law of averages. This is part of college football now. You're having to retool your entire program almost because Auburn's going to lose coaches. Coaches are going to go pro or take another job. They're going to lose players. They're going to lose maybe a couple players they don't want to lose. This is our new world here, and we have to learn how to handle it, all of us. So that's where we're at. So be ready for others. Be ready for others for sure.
Yeah, it just nothing surprises me when it comes to
really like the way it used to be, Justin, where Auburn ended let's just say that Auburn honestly we said, I think we were on this show or maybe the Collins show with Alan and Jeffrey, I don't remember. We said if Auburn can find a way to get a win against either A&M or Alabama, just one out of those two, you're going out on a much better note. Auburn beat A&M. This loss to Alabama hasn't blown over yet because it kind of hurt because you see Auburn had so many chances to win it. They had so many chances to be in it and could not make it happen. So everybody's frustrated because you've seen that story 100 times this year. Not really, but you've seen it a lot to where it's the only thing on your mind, and I got that. But Auburn did beat A&M. Big win there to help, get you a little bit of momentum going. You wish the A&M game would have happened after the Bama game, of course, get that win going out. But good for momentum in the offseason because it used to be, hey, you could end the season and early preseason polls could start coming out and going way too early preseason polls. It looks like this team's went on a high note. They got all these young players. Well, you have no idea what Auburn's going to look like in 4 months, 5 months, by the time next season rolls around. It's going to look like a totally different team. Player-wise, staff-wise, it's going to look totally different. So I find that to be very fun. I guess it's totally different than what we grew up with college football. Yeah, I'm going to miss how that was because I think it was awesome, but this is how it is now. And I think it's kind of fun to follow, man. It's very NFL-like, business-like. That's how it is now. But every year, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are, you have a chance to totally change your program every year. And we get to see if Auburn can do that in year 3 of Freeze. And look, if year 3 goes anything like it went this year, he will not be the coach at Auburn anymore. I think I feel safe saying that.
Yeah. Well, people are so dumb, dude. People are so dumb with this.
That's why it's called silly season, Justin. This is where we're at. It's going to be, it's going to be fun. That's all I can say. I like it, man. If you got a problem, say it. I like all the back and forth. It doesn't bother me at all.
Well, I'm just kind of just sort of keeping an eye on things. I think people are confused on this Hank Brown thing, and
yeah.
again, if you there's not a confusion if you read the report, which is the report says he plans. If we need to Google what plans means? Plans means hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen. So they are reporting he plans to enter the portal. He cannot enter the portal till the 9th. So plans to enter the portal. He literally cannot be in the portal. Hank Brown's Instagram comment said, "I am not in the portal." That's true. You can't be in the portal till the 9th. So nothing about what Hank Brown said on Instagram contradicts what Steve Wilfong and Pete Nakos reported, which is that he plans to enter the portal. Hank said he isn't in the portal. Hank didn't say, "I have no intentions of leaving Auburn." Hank didn't say, "I don't plan to transfer." He goes, "I'm not in the portal as of now." So neither one of those things contradict the other. Pete and Steve could be right. Hank is right. He's not in the portal. He can't until the 9th anyway. So they don't contradict each other. So I hope people are watching this and can talk to their buddies. Like, nothing about those two things contradict. They reported plans. Now we'll see if that's indeed what's happening. They seem to be sticking by what they reported. And I think Hank said he's not in. He can't be in anyway. So they don't contradict each other.
And our front page story on Auburn Live reflects the report of Steve Wiltfong and Pete Nakos from On 3. That's why we have it up. As long as they've got that report out, we're going to have ours, and we'll see what happens with it. And, obviously it will be news if he doesn't enter the portal at this point. So,
yeah,
we're just going to have to roll with the punches here, man. But, Justin,
what you got?
What do you think? How many guys do you think Auburn loses to the portal? You're putting together the tracking the depth chart, tracking the roster or whatever, trying to find out where the number is. Do you think Auburn's going to be tight trying to add pieces, or do you think it's going to be like there's going to be so many there's going to be so many spots that they can just go crazy?
I don't know. I think this year's a little different than last year, certainly different than the year before. I think the difference in this year is you've got 2 high school recruiting classes under your belt. So in other words, the first transfer portal season, off season, and then this most recent one, the second one, I guess, probably a little bit more of cutting, probably a little bit more of trying to go cut guys that you don't think will help you, and then you kind of just got to go. I think you've got a little more talent on the roster now, so I think there's maybe more retaining that has got to go on. Certainly some guys you probably want to encourage maybe to find a new home elsewhere, but hopefully you get to the point where as you go, you should be doing more retaining and less cutting. That's the way it should work. You should not, every offseason, you should not be like, all right, it's time to turn over 15 players through the transfer portal. That's not what you want to be doing
Right.
on a year-to-year basis. I've always thought, 5 to 7 would be a great number to deal with portal-wise, winter, spring combined. Just your roster, bring your high school kids in, and then 5 to 7 spots would be, I think, a great portal. Maybe 5's a little bit too low. Maybe 7's kind of the number. I thought that'd be a good number, but I don't think Auburn's there yet. So I think Auburn still's got to probably, I'd say guys that they want to maybe encourage to go elsewhere. Plus, let's just toss in here and there a player or two that might leave anyway that you want to keep. It'll be over 10. But it shouldn't be. Now you're going into year 3. That shouldn't be 20. That's for sure. You shouldn't be that far off. If you've been at you're somewhere for 2 years, you should have built the roster up to the point where year 3 you shouldn't still be trying to turn over 20 players. That would point to problems in your evaluation the last 2 years. If you're in year 3 still thinking you need to turn over 20 players, unless 15 of those were guys unless you have a culture problem, right? Like unless a bunch of guys left and it's not that you didn't evaluate, there's a deeper issue. But if we're just talking about trying to improve the roster and we're not talking about guys just bailing on your program, I think they're probably in that 10 to 12, 15 might be high, 10 to 12 number, something like that. And then you could get hit with a surprise. Somebody
Wow.
leaves or
It's a day of news, I guess.
now what?
West Virginia has fired Neil Brown.
We kind of thought that was coming, right? I mean, like that, or at least it's been talked about.
Honestly, I don't know why. West Virginia is just like a program that I have not watched one single play from scrimmage of West Virginia this season. Not one. I just forget about them. Maybe that's the problem. You got to be in the headlines. That's for sure. That's part of today's world. Jerry Mack is the head coach at Kennesaw State. Who is Jerry Mack, Zach? Sounds familiar. Tennessee running back coach. Oh, wow. Good move for him. What is that? NCCU, North Carolina Central? Yes. Okay. So he was the former head coach at NCCU, Tennessee running back coach, moves up to Kennesaw State. So the coaching carousel is going, and man, I don't know who. I'm just playing the law of averages. I think Auburn loses a few coaches on this staff, right?
Probably. It seems like this day and age, even if you have your program rolling, it's like you probably are going to lose. If you're rolling, then your guys are probably going to have opportunities. If you're not rolling, then you're going to maybe feel like you need to make changes. So it's feels like this day and age, you're probably always going to potentially have one or two staff changes. I don't know exactly which ones they would be at this point. But yeah, just in general, I think you're always probably going to have one or two that change. Obviously, you'd rather be in the position of your program's rolling. And if a guy leaves because you're rolling and he has a better opportunity, that's where you'd rather be than after 2 seasons going, okay, I need to reshuffle again. I need to reevaluate again because we're not quite clicking yet. That's not quite in the position you want to be in.
Yeah, Brian G brought up Gus stepping down from UCF to take the Florida State OC job. What about that? That's interesting, isn't it?
Man, that was wild. I mean, it felt like everything about that felt like, I mean, he was, what was he, 28 and 24 at UCF. So that felt like maybe that was going to run its course at some point. But then again, I mean, if you resign, I don't know how that works with the buyout. I mean, if you get fired, maybe they buy you out. If you resign, maybe you just save UCF money. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, taking that job after being fired at Auburn kind of made sense. Go down to Orlando, good weather, could kind of build a program that had done some good things lately. Probably pretty open to you sort of doing what you want to do offensively. Entering the Big 12, I don't know, UCF, what was their record this year? Entering the Big 12 might have been a little bit, I mean, Gus might be looking at it going, do I really, I'm back in the Big 12. Do I really want to just try to build the portal? And do I really want to try to build all this thing now? Or you get the opportunity to go be an OC at Florida State. You can take a step back from the head coaching stuff and just get back to your roots as a coordinator and play caller at a program as prestigious as Florida State. That's going to have good resources to get talent. And maybe that's his last stop. I could see him going, I made some money. I'll take a step back. I don't want to do the head coaching thing anymore. I can just get back to my roots as a play caller at a great program. And that's how I'll go out. Make some money, call some plays. I'm at Florida State. Don't have to go that far down the road. Plenty of talent to recruit from. And this will be make a few more millions, and this will be my last gig, and I can get away from the stress of being the head coach as my career ends. That's sort of what that feels like.
Yeah. I think that's what that's about. Man, it's going to take. It's not surprising to me that it's like the younger up and coming coaches that are starting to make big splashes out there because they can handle everything that's going on. The guys that have been in this game for a long time, or for at least before the portal era, they're having a hard time adjusting. A lot of them are. Like, for example, Kenny Dillingham is a new up and coming guy. He might get Arizona State in the playoff, right? Shane Beamer, I think, as a head coach, is still pretty new, right? I mean, he wasn't a head coach before he got to South Carolina, right?
No, he's been there. How long has he been there now?
4 or 5 years, I think.
At least, yeah. By the way, the conference championships. So how about you could have in the Power Four, all 4 conference champions could be from teams in their very first year in the new conference. Could be Texas, it could be SMU in the ACC, it could be Oregon in the Big Ten, and it could be Arizona State in the Big 12.
Right.
All conference champions. Funny about that, way 2 of the 4 could be Pac-10, Pac-12 teams winning their new conference, Oregon and Arizona State.
Yeah.
And
Dan
that
Lanning,
conference was widely regarded as the weakest of the.
That's another young up and coming head coach. Guys that are sort of born in this era, you could say, as head coaches, they seem to be handling it better. I haven't done like a full study on this. I'm just going off of the top of my head, but it seems like
Well,
those are the guys having a lot of success right now.
I mean, you could make an anecdotal case. I mean, obviously, Saban retires. And granted, Saban's been around for a while. Like he could have retired no matter what. It's not like Saban got out early. I mean, Saban spent 17 years at Bama and got out. Let's see how long Kirby stays. You look at Dabo. As soon as the portal hit, he's struggled. You make a good point. Shane Beamer, good. Kenny Dillingham, good. Lane Kiffin, good. Handled it well. Hugh Freeze seems like he's struggled with the portal part of it, not with the high school recruiting, but with the portal part of it, he's struggled. Yep. And on the field results have obviously struggled too. So there's something about balancing all that is not quite working for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, trying to think of Dan Lanning, younger coach, younger in the game. Ryan Day, younger in the game. I mean, yeah, I don't know who would be left. You kind of had that run of Pete Carroll leaving, and so that was the Seahawks. Who in the college? You had Saban. Who else retired?
By the way, Zach says
Matt Brown just retired.
Yeah,
fired.
Yeah, he tried. He was going to retire apparently, but Zach says that Travis Williams, T. Will, is a candidate for the UCF job right now. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that would be.
LSU quarterback Ricky Collins.
It'd be interesting. So no, I think, does it take a younger coach to be successful in this day in college football? I don't know. It takes a coach with energy, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot more going on, either energy or just an unbelievable team around them. And in terms of delegating, just incredible talent around them, where if you're the head coach, you don't have to have your hand in everything because you've got such a good team around you that it runs smoothly. But a lot of cases, it's head coach is going to have to be involved in a lot of this stuff. So you better have plenty of energy to sort of keep everything together, if you will. This is a massive offseason for Auburn. I mean, I wrote about it. I mean, I kind of made the comment in the portal tracker deal, but feels like this is the one. You're entering year 3. There will be no more excuses. You're not getting next year. You're not going to get fans and boosters going, well, let's just give them time to get a quarterback. Well, get them time to give talent. Well, those aren't working. Not after 3 portal classes and 3 high school classes, or 2 high school classes, right? Or what did he finish? Well, I mean, 23. I guess he finished the 23. I don't remember what he finished. His first full.
No, he was in for a month or less than a month to finish the 23 class.
2 full high schools and 3 portals because portal's shorter. But yeah, there's no excuses next year. This is when you got to make the jump. And you could have argued you need to make a jump year 1 to 2. I mean, there's enough avenues to be able to attract talent and to flip your roster that they should have been better this year. Vegas had them at 7.5 wins. I thought they'd win 8, and they win 5. Very disappointing. But okay, let's just say that you think 2 years, then this is the year. It certainly doesn't go. You certainly don't get 3 years to figure it out and then go, all right, by year 4, nobody would subscribe to that. So this offseason, this is it. If they want to take some big strides, obviously quarterback, everybody's eyes are going to be on quarterback and what Auburn can do there. Got a few other places that somebody asked me on the show Friday what I would do, like where I would rank portal priorities. And just kind of off the top of my head, I said, obviously quarterback, but past quarterback, I thought offensive tackle. I thought linebacker. And I thought defensive tackle. If they could land an impact player at those 4 positions, I think they would be in really good shape next year because Asante's gone, Key's gone, Mosi gone. You got DeMarcus Riddick, and then you've got DJ Barber who didn't play. So a lot left there. Defensive tackle, you lost. You're losing all the seniors that you brought in as transfers. Who knows what else you lose at the defensive tackle position. And then offensive tackle, which is just, they need one. I thought if they could get a quarterback and a linebacker, and I'm talking about impact. I'm not talking about, what I'm saying is like whatever you think you need at quarterback, I'm saying I think you need about that caliber at linebacker, defensive tackle, and offensive tackle. If you did that, combined with what you have coming back, combined with the young talent, and then combined with the other pieces that hopefully you'll fill out in the portal. But if you could get a B-plus player at those 4 positions, it doesn't even have to be an A-plus player. You get him a B-plus, like a really, a really good player, SEC starter, top-tier SEC starter, I think they'll be in business. But those 4 stood out to me as just the most immediate needs for not just a decent portal player, like a portal player the caliber of I don't even know, Keandre Lambert-Smith, kind of in my mind. If you could land at those 4 positions, if you could land somebody, and maybe not quite, maybe he's an A-plus type land, but somebody pretty close to that steps in and is immediately really damn good.
Yeah, so I was toying around with like looking at the hit miss rate. If you're just going, I mean, you can make a case for different guys, but hit miss, one way or the other, black or white. Looking at this last portal class, right? Let's see. Let me pull it up. I'm just going to ask you a guy. We're not bad mouthing anybody here. We're just strictly talking business with how this thing goes. I mean, look, if Auburn doesn't have a bunch of hits in this portal, Hugh Freeze may not make it, right? So this is where we're at. I'm just curious what you think, and I'll tell you too. Obviously, Keandre Lambert-Smith, that's a hit, no doubt, right?
Yep.
Percy Lewis, I would say, is a miss for what you brought him in for. We thought he was going to be the starter at left tackle, and he was for a little while, but lost that job to Dylan Wade. So fair to call that one a miss.
Yep.
Jaron Thompson, who started at safety all year, made some big plays. Could you do better there? Probably, but I would say he's a hit for what he was brought in for. What would you say, Justin?
Which one was that?
Jaron Thompson.
Yeah, he was good. I thought he was a little bit, maybe a tad better than I thought. I thought Mosi was way better than I thought. I thought Mosi was a lot better than I expected him to be.
So
he was physical.
So far, I got 2 hits, 1 miss. I'm with you on Mosi. That's 3 hits. Definitely very good. A lot more physical than I thought too, for sure. Sam Jackson.
I would say that's a an NA, because I think he's an incredible athlete that came because Peyton was here, and Freeze talked him into maybe having a role, and then they didn't even use him. So I mean, that kid's a damn good athlete, and he didn't get used. I don't know who to blame that on, but I don't blame it on Sam.
We certainly can't call it a hit right now, right?
No. I just put him at like a neither.
This one's kind of weird because, I mean, he's got several years to play still. Rico Walker, I guess he's got a shot if Micah
Yeah,
Riley going
TBD.
to the portal is true.
He looks the part though. Watching him in practice and stuff, like he looks the part. Pretty athletic guy.
He got in against somebody. I guess Louisiana Monroe whiffed horribly on a block. I was like, oh, can't do that, man. This is your resume. But anyway, Isaiah Rakes, I would say, is a hit. You didn't hear his name a whole lot. That's exactly what you want out of your nose guard, right?
Yeah, he was good. I thought he trailed off a little. I don't know if they sort of changed. I don't know if Blockton played more. Felt like he flashed a little bit more early in the year, but he was good. I thought he was good.
He made some big plays, but look, your nose guard just eat up space, take up the two guys in the middle. I thought Auburn's defense started there. It was one of the reasons they were good because Rakes was in there a lot. He rotated, but I thought he was good for what they brought him in for. Gage Keys was brought in to be a starter, or not a starter, but at least a rotational guy, and he was not. I don't think he played at all. Maybe a snap here and there in some garbage time, but didn't play. So Trill Carter, where would you go on Trill Carter?
Is that a trick question?
He started playing more as the season went on, but yeah.
Massive bust.
He didn't make it. So Mausi, we already said him as a hit. Kieron Crawford, I think he's coming on pretty strong.
Yeah, I'd say a little TBD. I think probably a hit. Maybe maybe not quite.
I'm ready to call it a hit. I think it's a hit because I think he's your starter next year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think get into next year full hit. I guess my expectations were like, whoa, paired with Jalen, he's going to be dynamite, and he was sometimes. He was. I would say hit. I think when he was called upon, he pretty much did what he was asked to do. When he got the snaps, I thought he got back there in the backfield and made some plays, and I think the potential's there. So I think hit. I think it will be a surefire hit.
He started coming on as I'd say a much more reliable edge rusher as we went on there. So I like him. I think he's a decent replacement for McLeod, who to me doesn't get as much credit as he maybe should. He was pretty good.
Great. Him and Keldrick get lost in this season. Great seasons by those two guys.
Yeah. Really
so good.
I got him at 5. We're calling hits right now. Robert Lewis. That's tough, isn't it? You have to ask yourself what was the objective in bringing this person in?
Well, I would say miss. And I'm not necessarily blaming that on Robert Lewis, but I thought he was going to be a starter. I thought he was going to be a surefire slot starter, and I think others thought the same thing of him. I remember Pete Nakos talking about he did a lot at Georgia State, good player. I thought he was going to start. He really not only did he not start all year, but he didn't do a lot. Again, is that him? Is it is that the play calling? But I mean, he's kind of a miss.
I think he was the starter in the slot, but they went with 12 personnel so much.
Yeah,
he wasn't out there a lot. So I'm not sure what to call him, but I'm not going to call him a hit if that makes sense. I can't quite go that far, and you're right. It may not be his fault. That's just the way it is. But another coach firing, Mike McIntyre, FIU. Ronan Chambers. I mean, I guess he was brought in to be a backup, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like
you can't call him a hit. I can't go that far, but to be a backup, I guess he was serviceable, right? He played a little bit, didn't ever really play in a big game. So Antonio Kite, obviously no longer with the team. That's got to be a miss. Philip Bleedy, I would call. I think he served his purpose, wouldn't you say, Philip Bleedy?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, honestly, I would probably for sure hit. Maybe a tick better. I think he contributed a little bit more than maybe I thought he would.
I agree. I think he had a good year. And then Fanaje Gote was the last guy. We never saw him at all, so can't call him a hit. I got 6 hits out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to subtract one of those for Rico Walker because we just don't know yet. He's still a prospect. So 6 out of 14 is 43% hit rate. according to our math and what we're calling hits and misses, or just neither, right?
Yeah.
I think it's got to be a little higher than that. I think you got to go above 50. Now, the ones you got were good, but for Auburn to take the next step forward, you got to be above 50. You got to get some guys that are going to make plays. Bottom line, and I don't think Auburn got enough of that from its portal class this time around. Not quite. Now, it did in some areas, obviously. Keandre Lambert-Smith, a couple got Dorian Mausi, Crawford. But, I think it's got to be a little higher than that. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you.
By the way, do you think there was the last drive for Auburn, do you think there was a serious thought, let's get Keandre Lambert-Smith as close to 1,000 as possible?
No, I just think it worked out that way. I mean, I was looking at his numbers yesterday, and hey, the stats are the stats. So he ended up with what he ended up. But at the very end of the game, I'm sitting there writing. When the game's over and there's a minute left, I'm sitting there writing. I'm not always paying attention to the last couple of plays. So I mean, I watched, but I didn't realize he had 3 straight catches for about 50 yards in like the last couple of minutes. But
yeah,
they are what they are. I mean, you can't go through and parse, every little yard. But I don't know if it was on purpose. I think he was just out there and tossed it to him. Maybe Peyton made a conscious decision the last couple of times to just look at him.
Yeah.
19 yards short of 1,000. 19 yards short.
That kind of explains the season, does it not?
Yeah.
You were right there. Almost had a big season, but instead it went the complete opposite way. I will say again, though, it was big to get that A&M win. That was big.
Is that it in the portal?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Any other
It's going to be really, really tough doing live shows these next few days. There's just there's no rest. There's no rest. So.
I know.
Surprise.
By the way, I would go ahead and I think you're safe to write up Micah Riley.
Okay. I got it.
He's retweeting posts about him entering the portal. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to be too hasty, Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much confirmation right there. He retweeted on 3's report. So if you want to, you can be writing that right now if you want. Yeah, I don't know what, I think it'd be interesting to sort of look back, and it takes time to look back on, your hit rate in the portal and what you expect that to be. What you expect the hit rate to be.
Yeah.
I thought somebody asked me Friday about that. And I was like, I think it's got to be pretty high. I mean, high school there's a lot more unknowns. High school, you got different classifications. They're obviously just in high school. There's a lot of development they still have to do. There's still maybe some unknowns in terms of how much do they love football. And there's a lot more you don't know. You just see pure God-given ability a lot of times. There's some toughness. But in college, portal, you've got a lot of tape to go off of. I mean, you got legit tape to go off of. I think missing in the portal should happen a lot less. You should pretty much have an idea of not just their capabilities and their toughness and the intangibles, but you can see the competition they've played against. You can literally see them playing a lot of times against decent competition. Might not be SEC, but at least it's college football level competition, FBS. You can see a little bit. And so I think missing in the portal is, it should be at a lot lower rate than missing in among a high school kid. So if you bring in 15 portal guys and it's 50-50, it's probably not great. It's not great high school either, but it's definitely not great. To me, if you bring in 10 portals, no fewer than, I don't know. I mean, outside of things you can't control, maybe they get here and something changes, or like, I don't know, it's kind of an odd circumstance, but I feel like if you bring in 10 portals, 7 of them should be exactly what you thought they'd be. I mean, if you're going kind of 60-40 on them, I'm not sure that you're doing the best job. If you bring in 10, for me, for every 10, 7 of them should be physically, mentally, they were what you thought they were going to be. They were a starter. You thought they were going to be a starter. They were a starter. You thought they were going to be a contributor. That's exactly who they were.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be playing the game where you're kind of going 50-50 on those guys. Just because those are everybody you're bringing in the portal is important, or you expect to be important. I mean, maybe there's a couple that you bring in late in the process, and you're just like, oh, we need, maybe Finaje Gote was somebody like that late in the process, and you're like, we got a chance, whatever. We need a spot. He's available. Let's go get him. Like who's the kid from they got from Colorado way late in the process, the DB.
Jacquez Robinson. So I didn't even count him because he wasn't even on there.
Yeah, maybe that's a good that I wouldn't necessarily count. That's one where you're like, well, we have an extra scholarship still. He's available. He played with Charles Kelly. He's an emergency situation.
In that case, I would take Finaje Gote off. So it would be, let's see. That's closer to 50%. That's a lot closer to 50% if you take him off. So, I mean, they're hovering right around 50 on the hit rate, but it's just got to be for what the team needed, for what the record ended up being. It's got to be a little bit more than that, right?
Yeah.
So, well, it's about to be a lot of fun, isn't it? I love this time of year. I also dread it.
Yep. It's good times, man. It is good times. That's why I tried to tell the people on the board I need to go back and I kind of wrote it like, there's going to be guys that come and go. Honestly, if I were on the outside looking in, if I were just a fan, I would I don't know, pick about 4 or 5 positions that I think it's similar to recruiting. I guess recruiting in high school is different because you need a big class. Portal, man, I think it's, unless you're rebuilding an entire roster the way Dion did at Colorado, with Auburn, it's like pick 3 or 4 positions that you really, really want, or you feel like Auburn needs to get an impact player in the portal, and then see who they lose that they really didn't want to lose. And past that, everything else is, I don't think, all that impactful. You know what I mean? Like, Can Auburn get a quarterback? Can Auburn get an offensive tackle? Can they get whatever? I said linebacker. Can they get a linebacker? Let's just say those 3. And then let's see who they lose, if they lose anybody that's impactful. Past that, I feel like it's all kind of, not that it's not important, but those are the things that are going to impact like Auburn's ability to go win 8 next year, or 9 next year, or 10 next year, or if they're going to be back at the 6 and 7 range at best. Everything else is kind of filling holes and building depth and grabbing a guy here and grabbing a guy there. And guys are going to leave the program that really haven't done much anyway, that we're probably encouraged to look elsewhere, or when they went to Auburn and said, hey, what's it looking like? And they said, well, we're probably not going to do much collective with you next year. If you want to look around, go for it. And they do. And you know who those guys are. You see guys leaving that literally had 0 production last year that didn't start. Very, very few times is that a player that they desperately want to keep. And just you can go get that guy. If a guy leaves, let's just say Mike O'Reilly. Nothing against Mike O'Reilly. If Mike O'Reilly leaves, you can go get another Mike O'Reilly. He's a physical player. I think he's got some ability. You can go get one of those in the portal, kind of wherever. I mean, you can go find another one of him. I promise.
Well, I'll say this.
Yeah, go ahead.
As we're about to get off here, I think my computer's about to die too. Year 3 of Hugh Freeze excites me. It excites me because I think the roster will be very close to where it needs to be. Whether he feels that way or not, that's the case. I'm not necessarily saying he has a lot of excuses, but there aren't any excuses to make at this point. Year 3, this is it, do or die. I would like to see what happens. I'm pretty excited to see what happens this offseason. Does he get a coordinator? Does he end up calling the plays? I don't care. He needs to do it his way. He doesn't need to listen to anybody in his comments. I don't really
care either, right? Yeah.
I don't. He doesn't need to listen to anybody in the comments. Doesn't need to listen to anybody on Twitter. He doesn't need to listen to you and me. He needs to do it his way.
What? What are we doing this for then?
I know. But seriously, that's how it needs to go. I hope it works out for him, but if it doesn't, this is the year where everything comes to light. So year 3 of Hugh Freeze excites me a lot. Can't wait.
Oh boy. Is that how you want to end the show?
Absolutely.
Oh boy. I don't know about excites. I don't know that I can go that far. This season was so bad on the field that it's interesting, intriguing.
Well, it's exciting because if it's like that again, he's done. It's not going to go on any further. And then
I want to go 5 years before I do a coaching hot board.
I do too, but I'm just saying.
Can we just get a little break from that? I don't know, man. That's what I'm saying. Like recruiting wise, yeah, I would love to see this freshman class come back. The two classes he's got, then bring these kids in, see who from this freshman class can be on the field. That could be a fun roster next year. You get the right pieces in the portal, combined with bringing some of this young. What jump does DeMarcus Riddick and Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons and Caleb Harris and Jay Crawford, and what kind of jumps does Braden Joyner can he make? DeAndre Carter, what's he look like? Does Connor Liu keep getting better? There's some fun pieces, but that's that maybe the talent part is exciting, but I cannot say I'm excited about. I can't do this year again. Like not just the losses, but if we only did this, if we only didn't make a turnover, we were right there, but we lost the game, and all the back and forth that sort of went on. It was a lot. But Auburn will have a new quarterback to blame next year. Fans can blame. So that's
right.
We'll see if we can ruin the reputation of a third quarterback. I'm kidding, half kidding. Let's just give the quarterback a chance. Can we all just make the decision to not blame everything on the quarterback? Everything? Some things, that's fine. Not everything. That's going to be my New Year's resolution for everybody. Don't blame the quarterback for literally everything. Stop it. Don't stop at 60% or maybe 65%. Don't go any higher.
That's fair.
Try to spread it out.
That's a fair percentage.
Who are you going to miss, man? I'm going to miss seeing Jalen McLeod. Love that dude.
Jalen McLeod. I think he's very good. I like Dorian Mausi. He proved me wrong because you can go dig up a film thread I did of him, and I wasn't overly impressed. So I think that he proved me wrong, and good for him. He had a good year. I think Austin Keys came on pretty strong at the end of the year. Nobody really talked about him.
I didn't, and I was actually I'm surprised you said his name. I felt like he didn't do a whole lot.
Not until the end of the year, but he started playing a lot better.
Yeah. Not quite what he
not what you thought. Not what you thought, for sure.
I think my favorite moment, if I had to pick a moment of the season, wouldn't really be a moment. As much as Cam Coleman's fun or whatever, I think the development of Caleb Harris was pretty fun to watch. Cam, you thought Cam. Like, you're like, of course, Cam. You expected Cam to be what he was the last few games, and so that's kind of an easy one to pick. I thought Caleb Harris, not that we thought he was a good player, but I thought his emergence early in the season. I mean, early. He pretty much took that over first third of the season, quarter of the season. I thought Caleb, and I like how he plays, man. He's got some confidence about him. He didn't play like a freshman. You watch him come up and tackle, some sure tackles at times. Like I like Caleb Harris.
I like Caleb Harris. I think Jay Crawford's emergence was great. I felt pretty good about that one because I had hyped him up a little bit beforehand. I thought he was a good player. I know how much Auburn valued him. So putting those two things together, I felt like he was going to be good. I didn't know it'd be that soon. So that was good. I mean, listen, I went and watched DeMarcus Riddick twice in high school, and not to say he didn't impress me because his athleticism always impressed me. But as a linebacker, I was like, dude, he's got a long way to go. But they found a role for him, and it was very, very good. And he's only going to get better. I mean, his best football is way ahead of him, DeMarcus Riddick. So, all of that's exciting going into the next year. Offensive line's got to get better. It's just got to get better. You're somewhat average. Pass protection was better in the Bama game and the A&M game, but it's still not where it needs to be to get this thing really going. I'm interested to see what happens at running back. Well, we have seen Jarquez Hunter for so long, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
What's next there? It's going to be
a big question, dude. Big question mark.
It's going to be a new question too, for sure.
And it depends on what you think of Alvin in terms of classification. How do you view how good he is compared to the talent he played, and how do you project that? I think it's could be a little bit tough unless you just think you can see the talent no matter what the classification is. But yeah, Damari is going to have his chance. Jeremiah's going to have his chance. Do you think there's any shot that they go after a portal running back, like a big time portal running back?
I think that all hinges on if they get Usman Chroma in the high school class, which they're working on him, and it's going to be tough. I don't know if they're going to get him, but if they do, I think they might pull off of the portal.
That's going to be a tough one, though, because Jeremiah and Damari are sitting there going, now's my time. Damari's a senior, which is crazy that Damari is a senior.
No.
Yeah.
He came in that
there under Harsin. His first year was Harsin. Harsin went and got him over Quinshon Judkins. And then he's been 2 years with Freeze and a year with Harsin.
Was he in the 21 class or the 22 class?
I don't remember, but he played the 21 year with Harsin and them. He played that season because Harsin and them went after him instead of Quinshon Judkins.
He's in the 22 class.
He's listed as a junior on the website. Yeah, 22 class. True freshman is a 22, 23, 24. And didn't redshirt, played enough games. So just crazy that but anyway, him and Jeremiah are sitting here thinking it's my chance. So boy, that would be dicey. If Auburn did try to go after a portal running back, like a legit one, boy, that'd be dicey. Because those two guys are sitting here going, it's my chance, and I don't know how you sort of do that and keep them happy and then not potentially lose one of them. So maybe even if you did and one of them goes, wait a minute, and then bails, and then what do? You sort of trade one for the other, I guess. But that'll be interesting. All right, you want to roll?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Who knows what's going to pop off next?
Yeah, I'd go. I guess we can go get a Mike O'Reilly story.
Need to get that finished.
Probably get that up. I think On3 reported it, and he's been acknowledging it and all that. So, we'll see what happens. That's the thing. I mean, the portal doesn't open until the next Monday, but you guys are already making decisions, and that's what you see mostly now are plans to enter. Most of the reports you see now, obviously, are plans to enter. They cannot enter till the 9th. Plans to enter because guys are making decisions now. They're talking with their agents and people that deal with them on the NIL side right now. That's where a lot of this comes from, by the way. A lot of these early reports are from parents and agents. They're not all from players. It's agents that are involved because there's NIL agents involved saying, "Are you ready to transfer? Okay, let's go ahead and make plans. Let's go ahead and put it out there that you're planning on it, so that when you actually enter next week, we've got a whole runway. Everybody knows you're planning to enter, and so when you actually do enter, we're off and running. I mean, you're obviously schools are tampering anyway, but officially you can be off and running and figure out where you want to go, and you're not delaying the process. You're going to see a lot more of the reports come out about plans to enter, because there's no point in waiting. Go and get your name out there, get it out there that you're transferring, and start seeing that. But a lot of these NIL agents are the ones that broker this stuff. They're the ones that are then reaching out to programs and other people, engaging interest and figuring out who might want you. And, that's where a lot of this is coming from.
Right.
Anyway. All right. Well, let's roll, man. Hopefully some people watch. Go back and watch it. Go to auburnlive.com, subscribe. One day, the $1 for 7 days ends tomorrow. So if you're watching this anytime on Sunday, that deal ends after today. I don't think it runs through Monday. I think it ends on Monday. So anyway, go to auburnlive.com, subscribe. We'll see you guys on the corner.